Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. Running this podcast in the middle of a Sox Yankees wild card game is about as sane as volunteering to juggle chainsaws in the Bronx. The wild card at Yankee Stadium isn't a baseball game, it's a 3-hour stress test sponsored by Antacids. 1 second, you're trying to sound professional about bullpen matchups. The next second, you're praying Aaron Judge doesn't turn your monologue into background noise with a 450-foot highlight. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick is the human embodiment of a Red Sox rant thread, loud, relentless, and guaranteed to trigger at least 3 Yankee fans before the first pitch. He doesn't just watch wild card baseball, he cage fights with it. If the Sox lose like they did tonight, he'll argue with the parking attendant on the way out of Yankee Stadium if he needed to. If they won, he'd still argue, just with more hand gestures. Also joining me tonight is Thayer Doyle. Thayer watches a Sox-Yankees game like it's Shakespeare in the Bronx. He'll break down every error like it's a tragic flaw in Hamlet, except the only tragedy is watching Ceddanne Rafaela try to bunt. Thayer believes still that defense wins championships, which is adorable considering Jarren Duran would say otherwise. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox dropped Game 2 in the Bronx 4-3 in a performance that could only be described as 9 innings of whiplash. Top of the first, the Sox step in against Carlos Rondon. Refsnyder down swinging, Story down swinging, Bregman flies out, nothing doing. Then Bello takes the mound, and for about 2 batters, it looks fine. Then Cody Bellinger sneaks a single, and Ben Rice, with the kind nobody outside of Yankee Stadium could pick out of a police lineup, parks a 2-run homer in the seats, and just like that, the Sox trail 2-0 before they're even unpacked their sunflower seeds. Second inning, Sox go down like a bad appetizer. The Yankees do their best to let Boston breathe, with Volpe bouncing into his contractual once-a-game double play, still 2-0. Now the third inning is where the tensing begins. Duran singles, Rafaela walks, Sogard bunts his way on, and Rodon airmails the throw like he's aiming for Houston. Bases loaded, nobody out. Momentum, not so fast. Refsnyder strikes out, because of course he did, and then Story comes through with a 2-run single to center. Tie game 2-2. Fenway South actually wakes up, and then Bregman kills the party with a rally scuffling double play, because of course he did. Fast forward, Bello escapes some jams. The Sox strand runners like it's their side hustle. And in the 5th, Aaron Judge flicks an RBI single to push the Yankees back ahead 3-2. But Trevor Story, bless him, refuses to go down quietly. In the 6th, he launches a solo home run to tie it again 3-3. At this point, he's basically the only guy in Boston uniform doing anything other than practicing their winter tee times. From there, chaos and wasted chances. In the 7th, the Sox loaded up, walk, hit by pitch, infield single, and what do they do to get? A bunt popped up, a lazy fly ball, and Story himself flying out to center. Opportunity slammed shut. Bottom of the 8th, the dam finally breaks. Whitlock on the mound, 2 outs, man on. Austin Wells, who might as well be Jose Trevino's stunt double, lines a single to right. Jazz Chisholm Jr. trots home, and the Yankees reclaim the lead 4-3. The Sox still had one grasp in the 9th, but it was more of a wheezing end. Abreu strikes out. Durant takes strike 3, looking like he's waiting for the bus. Rafaela flies out. Game over. Yankees win 4-3. Bronx fans dance in the aisles. Sox fans double-check their blood pressure medication. Final line 4-3. The series shifts heavily in New York's favor only because they have the 3rd game at home. And the question is, how are we going to blow this tomorrow? That being said, it's time now for Nick Face's word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's word of the day.
Are you a Smuckers fan, Jim? Are you a Smuckers fan, Thayer?
I love jam.
We're gonna
the name like Smuckers, it better be good.
Oh, it's a jam tonight.
Do you have any
That's
grape
what
upon?
it is. It could be grape, it could be strawberry, it could be marmalade, whatever the heck you want to call it. That was tonight's theme of the night, a jam. You had a jam where you had to deal with Whitlock in a situation where he never should have been into a multi-inning role. Cora way overextended him in that spot. I don't know if I put all the blame in the world to Whitlock. He didn't look as sharp. I think you have to dial it back to Bayo just completely being not good, not sharp, not ready to go. If you gave us 4 innings, we probably would have been only needed to have Whitlock for maybe the 8th inning at that point. But you way overextended yourself on that, and the theme was jams. The biggest one you look at was the situation with Trevor Story flew out with the bases loaded. All you needed to do on a situation like that was bunt. You had a perfect situation, and yet Rafaela still can't figure out how to bunt a baseball. It's absolutely incredible to me how a major league player does not know how to bunt. If I didn't know how to bunt on my high school team, my ass is cut. I don't get it, guys. I just don't get it. I give credit where credit's due with Justin Wilson. He worked himself out of Houdini acts. He got out of those jams. We had Steven Matz give us a quality inning. Nothing wrong with that. And how about Zach Kelly? Were you guys screaming off the top of Mount Everest at that point when he came in with those 2 inherited runners on and he got out of the jam and struck out Volpe? I know Volpe's hitting $195 on the season against right-handed pitching, but still, he has a little pop in the bat. Wasn't my choice to come into the situation, but he got the job done. So kudos to him on that. But the whole way this whole game played itself out was you had to put yourself into situations that were very uncomfortable and out of the norm because Brian Bayo didn't give you diddly squat. And that was the biggest issue here for tonight. You got no length out of him. You taxed your bullpen. And now you have to come into a do or die game 3 with a bullpen that probably not give you much. That's scary to me. You didn't use Chapman tonight, so that's something. You have Kyle Harrison that's there, but talk about a pressure situation and a little bit of a jam himself for Conley early to come into his first ever playoff start in Yankee Stadium against the Yankees and have to get the Red Sox to the division round against the Blue Jays. Talk about pressure. That's just crazy. Trevor Story was your offense tonight. Trevor Story was your guy that got your 3 RBIs. The rest of the team, guys, any idea where the bats were tonight? Any idea? Were they off to do their tea time or something? But it was pathetic. The approaches tonight were awful. Right at the top, Ref Snyder, his job is supposed to hit left-handed pitching. He hasn't done crap in this series. Romy Gonzalez, what are you doing? Your job is to be able to take care of these situations. I'm not saying you're getting a hit every game, but to strike out as much as you have in this series, it's unacceptable. I know coming into this, I said the Red Sox have an upper hand against the Yankees. They were 9 wins on the season against the Yankees, 4 losses. I am feeling totally different after tonight's game on figuring out now what the heck does this team do tomorrow. They are in, quite frankly, a jam because now they have to figure it out pitching-wise and also figure it out how the heck they're even going to score any runs. Exactly what we talked about leading into this series. This team can't hit. They can't hit in big situations to save their life. They had another clutch opportunity with runners on, bases loaded, first and second and third, can't get the job done. It's so ridiculous to see what this is right now. So that's what you saw tonight. I'm not happy about it. I don't know where they go from here. I hate wasting my time on these kind of situations. Who knows what happens tomorrow? It's a coin flip. It really is. It's a coin flip.
Yeah. So jam is the word of the day. Nick Face's word of the day is brought to you by Jarren Duran's glove, because nothing says Sox Yankees playoff baseball like dropping a fly ball in left field and pretending it was part of the game plan.
I'd love to jam it shut.
Next, we're going to move on to Thayer with the third strike.
And now, it's time for the third strike with Thayer.
All right, we're going to go to fundamentals today. Yesterday, we did our fundamentals properly. We talked about yesterday being ball 4 was the key. Today, the Red Sox gave up ball 4. We walked too many batters. 2 of the 4 runners they scored came about because they got on by a walk. We also had poor fundamental defense. We had the inability to get the bunt down. And we also had a terrible base running situation. That inning when Yoshida comes up, you have first and second and a full count. Eaton did not take off the way he should have. He should have almost been on third base by the time that ball got to the plate and Yoshida started to swing. He didn't bust it the way he should have. He came around third with his head down. The coach wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. And really, knowing in that situation, Jazz Chisholm wants to be a hero. He made a fantastic defensive play. You know he's going to try and throw that ball. There should have been no doubt that the runner was going. The coach should have been sending him. That ball was up the middle. If he throws him out the plate, oh well. Tip your cap to him. He needed to come around. It was just a lack of fundamentals, and that's why they lost this game. Nick, I give Cora all the credit in the world. I said he should have pulled out Bayo early. He did it. He had everything set up. Really, this game should have been 3-2 going into that last inning with Whitlock. It probably should have been more than 3-2, but we catch a fly ball. We're still winning. We have all that momentum. We have all that opportunity. The Red Sox gave this game away. Ironically, I'm not as I don't want to say I'm not concerned, but I'm not as hopeless feeling as I think you are for tomorrow, because tomorrow we have the lefty going. Right now, who's hitting the ball for us? Our left-handed hitters. They have to throw a righty, and they have nobody else in their bullpen other than the one lefty. That might give us a bit of an advantage. We don't have to have Romy Gonzalez, who can't hit himself out of a paper bag. He did a fantastic job all year, but right now he's struggling. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about Refsnyder. We have Yoshida, God bless us, Yoshida, and we have the left-handed lineup. I think it's, and it's going to be all hands on deck. I say it's 50-50. And again, probably our advantage because Cora outmanaged Boone today. Boone, I knew he was going to do it. He left in the pitcher. Yesterday, he took the pitcher out. Today, he left in the pitcher. We had it all set up. He left him in too long. He walked 2 guys, and that's when we should have just blown it wide open. But again, the fundamentals, because we can't get a bunt down. And that's the third strike.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The Red Sox should have won this game, clear and simple. The fact is that, like you said, the fundamentals fell apart, and that's the reason why we lost this game. So the third strike is brought to you by Fenway's Trout Urinals, because sometimes being a Red Sox fan mean you need to just got to stand shoulder to shoulder and suffer together.
Oh, that's your best one yet, I have to say. That's your best one yet.
I know people look forward to them.
I'm sure there are.
Time to break things down. The first thing I want to break down is the lefty killers. So Refsnyder and Romy, they're in this lineup to hit left-handed pitching. What happened here, Thayer?
Well, Romy is struggling. He's been struggling for a while. He has really no idea what's going on at the plate. We watched him take a lot of pitches right down the middle, swinging the balls off. He's just not in it right now. He's not in the zone. This happens, especially to platoon players like we see. So that's what's going on from his standpoint. And he's not even making contact, so we can't even use his speed and his wheels and do those intangible pieces. And Refsnyder, I'm not sure what his deal is. Maybe he's pressing a little bit, but that at-bat he had with men on the bases loaded, that was just a hideous at-bat. He had 2 pitches that were sliders up in the zone that are automatic fly ball pitches. You swing, you put the ball in play, you hit your fly ball, you drive in the run. He takes them both and then swings at the slider down and away. Just the lack of approach. Probably he's pressing. It's probably a situation for him. I know they were talking about he hasn't been in the playoffs in quite a while. That's difficult, and he's probably pressing a little too much.
Nick, I'd like get your take on our lefty killers. Similar question to you as I posed to Thayer. What did you see tonight from the R&R boys?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it came also really from last night as well, too. I am wondering if this also has to do with the comfort feel. And what I mean by that is Rob Refsnyder is not a leadoff hitter, but the Red Sox also really don't have a leadoff hitter. That's the problem. They have guys in all these different situations in this lineup that really shouldn't be hitting. I mean, look at Navarez. What the hell is Navarez hitting fifth for tonight? Like what? Why? That can't happen. But that's what you got. This is the team that you have. You have a bunch of guys. You got a Bregman and Story who's had a great game tonight. I should swallow my words on that when I say that. But you have a lot of 7-8 hitters, and they're trying to slot into your 1 or your 2 spot or even 5 or 6 in your lineup. And that's just, you're getting exposed. I think that's the other thing as well, too, is that once you have a game plan, I got to give the Yankees a little bit of credit here. They had a game plan on how to attack Refsnyder and Romy, and their pitchers have done that. Fried tied them up. So did Rondon. Tip your cap where you can, and that's what they did. They did their job on that. But for the two guys that are supposed to be your assassins as your lefty killers, they have killed the momentum, is what they've done, and they leave you with a feeling of regret in a way that they were put into the lineup, because you benched Yoshida again tonight. You pinch hit him. You did the same thing from the other game. Yoshida's been hot as a pistol. I'm the last one, same with you, Jim, to clamor for guy to be playing, but at least the guy is hitting the ball and he's making contact. I can't give that to a lot of players on this team. The whiff king, or just take a look and, oh, is that a strike? Or William Abreu or stuff like that. I am playing Yoshida over those two guys right now. I just am. Because I can't take it anymore. I don't even understand why Abreu was up in the spot where he was in the ninth. I knew a strikeout was coming. I knew he was going to be overmatched. Duran has absolutely no clutch gene in his DNA. I knew whatever the situation was going to be, whether it was going to be a swing and strike or just looking and not protecting the plate, you knew it was coming from a mile away. So I just hope we don't get beaten from pure inept. What I'm trying to say is, I hope we don't get beat by pure inept approaches when you come up to the plate, and that's where it's got to change, even into next season as we plan ahead. These approaches suck, and it has to change.
Yeah, you brought up Refsnyder. Now, according to Baseball Reference, he had 11 games that he led off all season. So obviously not a lot of experience as the leadoff guy. And, for Core to do it twice in a row, you can obviously, point fingers in a lot of places, but, Refsnyder didn't lose you the game. We'll continue talking about all the people that did today, because this game you should have won, and you should be resting tomorrow and getting ready to take a flight to Toronto, but that didn't happen. I want to move over to Garrett Whitlock a little bit. Garrett Whitlock cannot pitch more than 30 pitches. It just seems to be that when he was a starter, once he was in for a couple innings, all hell broke loose. And even when you saw this earlier in the season, when he had longer stints and longer innings, that's when he got in trouble. He needs to be a 1 inning, 20 or pitch less reliever. And I think anything more than that, and the cookie starts to crumble. Nick, I'll start with you. You agree, disagree? What's your take on Whitlock tonight?
Know your role. And the role that we found out this season that Whitlock is a 1 inning guy. He was our dominant 8th inning guy who was able to get the ball over to Chapman and make a pair of a dominant 8th inning guy and 9th inning guy to close the game. That was your given in geometry. We knew that. But the problem that existed here tonight was Bayo couldn't give you length. And Cora was trying to manage a pen off of the lefties and everything that was there. He needed to either put Tolle in early or figure out what he wanted to do with Peyton Tolle maybe a little bit earlier in this game. Because to finagle and move around and make adjustments with Whitlock is a very delicate and fragile situation. Let's say that they get into the next round against the Blue Jays. Whitlock just threw 45 pitches. That's nearly half of sometimes an entire start in major leagues. How long is that going to require him now to rest? I know there's a little bit of break. I know if you play tomorrow, obviously he's not throwing tomorrow. That's completely off the table. You get Friday and then Saturday, you're right back in with the Blue Jays, and it could be a 1:00 game. You couldn't go then either. So it's a dangerous situation for a guy who's already had elbow issues and arm troubles in the past. I know it's the playoffs. I get it's do or die. I understand that. But you have to manage Whitlock very carefully. And tonight, you were playing with fire is what you were doing. And you are lucky he was able to walk off the mound and not have an injury. Seriously, you are. And you're also lucky that it was only 4-3 and no inherited runs were charged after he went out. Peyton Tolle, nice job coming in to clean up that mess. I have to tip my cap to that as well, too. But Whitlock is who he is. I don't want to see him for extended time. If it is for multiple innings, as you said, Jim, I'm even going to do a cutoff about 25 pitches because that at least gives me a little bit more comfort in knowing that he can rest for a day and then come back. I just can't see him if we advance. Game 2 is an if still, depending upon what the schedule and everything look like after everything that he just gave you. So it's dangerous.
Yeah, and Thayer, I'm going to ask you the same question, but I'm going to give you a little bit more info to to chomp on when you give your take. So Garrett Whitlock on pitches 1 through 25 has a opponent batting average of 202 and OPS of 520. Pitches 26 to 50. The batting average goes up to 250, so 50 points higher, and an OPS of 750, almost 230 points higher. In addition to that, on the first plate appearance in a game, he has an opponent batting average of 204 and an OPS of 537. If he sees that player again in the lineup, it balloons to a 500 batting average and an 1100 OPS, which is insane. Now, it's a very small sample size.
Jim, what's his walk rate? I'm just curious.
I'll have to find that. Thayer, why don't you start, and then I'll see what I can dig up here.
Cool.
You don't need to. The way I see it is this. Would you rather have Zach Kelly pitching? Nope. Would you rather have Weissert pitching? Nope. Would you rather have brought in Tolle? Nope. Would you have rather brought in Harrison? Nope. This was set up, though I would have done the same thing. Whitlock, yes, he is fantastic in a one-inning situation, but the game played out this way. As you're going through it, I texted Jim, like, this is setting up. Whitlock's going to have to get the 7th and the 8th inning, and Chapman's going to have to get the 9th inning for them to win this game. And it was going that way. And he was pitching great. He walked a guy. He lost control a little bit, walked a guy, gave up a hit. It happens. This is the playoffs. Nick, I get your concern, but here's my deal. If this guy is so fragile he's going to break because he pitched 2 innings, then, oh, well, goodbye. You know, he can be we'll go back in the day.
I agree.
Remember John Gray? We used to have him as our setup guy, and he couldn't do. If that's his situation, then, oh, well, goodbye, Whitlock. Thank you very much. This is the playoffs. You need to go out there and you need to throw your best. The advantage the Red Sox have over the Yankees is Whitlock and Chapman. That's it. And we rolled it yesterday and it worked. We tried it today and it didn't. It didn't work today because he was pitching in a tie ball game because Duran couldn't catch a stinking fly ball.
Mhm.
And he was also pitching in a tie ball game because Rafaela couldn't get a bunt down. And he was pitching in a tie ball game because with men like the Yankees scored with a man on first on a 3-2 pitch. Chisholm took off and was running. It was at full speed. Eaton was not.
Mm-hmm.
So Whitlock, no
Great.
complaints or concerns at all about him at all.
3 massive blunders tonight that cost
Yep.
you the game.
Yep.
Just to name a few. 3 of them.
We'll be getting into that as we go along. You know, Thayer, you're 100% right. I guess, you know, when you look at the numbers I presented you, it's a different conversation during the regular season versus the postseason. And I think that's part of what irritates me.
With who brought you.
Yeah, it irritates me. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're 100% right. Because if you're going to go down with a ship, go down with your best guys.
And we're hypocritical. We can't be hypocritical. All year we're talking about these stupid analytical nonsense things that they talk about and pulling this guy and pulling that guy. And, you know, I know, Nick, we weren't around with you at that time, but I'm sure if you go back, we talked about they bringing in Chaim Bloom and, oh, God, we're going to be the Tampa Bay Rays and all this analytical nonsense. And you look at the Tampa Bay Rays when they had Snell pitching a no-hitter in the World Series game. Oh, He hit his number. You got to take him out. He comes out of the game and Tampa Bay loses the World Series because they pulled a guy throwing a no-hitter because that's what the analytical numbers say. Yep. I'm sorry. You read the room. You read the stuff. Whitlock is your second best bullpen pitcher. If we lose because Whitlock walked a guy and gave up a single, okay, I'll take that. And I'm not even upset at that. I'm upset at the schmucks that can't do the small things.
Yep.
I want to say the same. Before we wrap, I also say the same thing on you, Thayer. The way this game was set up, for me, I do the exact same thing. Whitlock had to go that extra mile tonight. He had to. That's exactly how you got to the situation that you did. I don't blame Cora for any of that. That was all set up perfectly the way you should have had it. There was a walk, there was a hit, and that's what happened. Completely agree with you.
Just moving on quickly, the Trevor Story. I don't want to spend a lot of time on him, even though he deserves it, just because we're up against the clock. But Thayer, take me through Trevor Story. Again, he's been as clutch as he's ever been that I've ever seen him. And you and I were texting. It's like we're taking back every bad word we've ever said about the guy.
I got to say it publicly. He has been incredible this year. He has been the MVP of this team. We talk about Bregman being the leader. Story has absolutely been the leader. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. His approaches at the plate are fantastic. Defensively, other than that small span at the end, was outstanding defensively. He's doing everything you ask of him. He's running the bases. He's playing defense. He's hitting. He's leading. He's doing it all. And I can't believe it that he really should have been the MVP of this game. He did everything you asked. The only difference is, unfortunately, the wind was blowing a little bit. That last at bat, he hit it 400 feet instead of 408.
Yep.
We lose because the guy hits a 342-foot home run to the opposite field. If he had just been a little bit later on that ball, it's a bomb. Instead, he goes to the deepest part of this ballpark. And that is another thing that bothered me, is how they choked coming down the stretch, because these should be playing these games at Fenway, because the Yankees are not better than the Red Sox.
Nick, your thoughts?
Trevor Story played tonight. He did?
Yeah,
What did he do? He was good? Really?
as always.
He didn't strike out 3 times tonight?
That Trevor
The
Story
reason I'm
is
saying it, and people know what I'm joking about, is every time I open my Yap and compliment a certain player, he goes on a tailspin and he strikeout central, doesn't make contact, goes in a slump. I'm not doing that. So, did Trevor Story play? Oh, that's great. Good for him.
well, I guess you got to murder him tonight so that maybe he'll be good tomorrow.
Good for him. Good for him. He had a good game. Good. Do it
We
again.
got a few things to talk about, and now it is
And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, The Dugout Dipshits.
Feed me him. Feed
So-
me him.
So as far as we take dugout dipshits tonight, I'll let you guys choose each one of your dipshits. You can choose one. There's a plethora to choose from. We've already commented probably on most of them. Nick, I'll start with you. Who's your dipshit of the night?
I'm just going to stand up and give Jaron Duran a big applause. That was just a phenomenal catch in left field. Just a standing O right there. Guys, I can't wait. I can't wait till he is no longer a Red Sox. I have never in my life rooted so hard to not have a player on the team anymore in my life. And it's sad to say it, but I'm done. This guy cannot and will not be able to succeed here in Boston. I'm totally convinced. Totally convinced. He can't. He lacks the fundamentals. He always is doing something that can be a detriment to a game at some point, whether it's an approach at the bat, whether it's the way he's fielding a ball, communicating in the outfield, something on base, who knows what it is. He just lacks those fundamentals that we try and talk about here and we preach so much. What the hell was he doing? That was not a hard catch to make whatsoever. And I'm not a major league player. I'm not trying to come at this and saying, oh, well, I could have done that. I'm not saying that. I am saying that a guy of his caliber, with his speed, his athleticism, should have been in the damn position to make the catch with the ball. Know your situation. And they don't do it. They are always out of position with Duran for some odd reason, whether it's Duran, the coaching staff, or whatnot. He was in la la land is where he was. And then the 9th inning comes up. Of course he gets a called strike. I know the pitch was borderline. I get it. For those that want to say the ump stinks, that was a ball. It was on the paint. Foul it off if it's that close. Know your situation. If you know it's that close, don't let the umpire make the decision on getting you or on having that be a called strike. So, yeah, I give him lots of criticism here tonight. He is the dugout dipshit, and he is the number 1 dipshit of the night for me. I've had it with him. I've had it.
Thayer, you're up next. Who's your dugout dipshit for the evening?
Well, I'm going to go, since we call it dugout dipshits, I'm going to go plural on this one. I'm going to say the starting outfield for the Boston Red Sox. Because, Nick, you got Duran, that's 1. Rafaela is 2, who could not get a bunt down.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is Eaton for just that terrible base running. You know, he played well overall, but it's the little things. Those are the simple aspects of the game that you don't have to be gifted at to do. To run the bases, to understand on a 3-2 count, you get a head start. And that doesn't mean you jog. That doesn't mean you're just strolling. That means you're in a situation where you are the go-ahead run, and you know that the person at the plate has been hot and is putting the ball in play. You have to take off like a bat out of hell expecting to score. We saw a game last night in Cleveland, or yesterday afternoon in Cleveland. There was a man on second base, and someone hit a Baltimore chop that just went over the pitcher's mound. The pitcher fielded it backwards with his back to the plate, and that runner scored. And it wasn't even a 3-2 pitch. He just took off and was running. That's that situation here. You have to go. If Chisholm catches the ball, which he did, he still has to get up and throw you out at the plate from deep behind second base. That's if Chisholm is aware of even thinking about throwing it to the plate. He just got up and went right to first base. He didn't look. He didn't think. He just went to first base. There should have been no question. I was in shock the fact that they hadn't scored that run. Yep. Shocked that he didn't go at all. And that's my number one dugout dipshit, because really it's you don't need to be a good baseball player. You don't need to be anything other than someone who takes the role seriously, understands the game, and is hustling. And that just bothers me, because this is a team that does not have the talent that most Red Sox franchise teams have. They don't. They traded him away. He's in San Francisco, the guy that pounds the Yankees all the time, that would have made a big differences in San Francisco watching this. He's probably back in the Dominican already. But that's enough said about that. You have guys, we can be complaining all night about it. How is this guy hitting fifth? How is that guy hitting fourth? They have a team of sixth and seventh and eighth hitters. They have a team of platoon players, of quadruple A guys. You think that they would understand their role and take it seriously and do what they have to do. The fact that they lost this game not because they were out talented, not because they were outplayed, because they didn't do the little things, is the most frustrating thing in the world. I would have rather have Judge, like if Judge is bashing balls all over the park, so be it. You know, it like Fried last night throwing it. Rodon wasn't fantastic, but he pitched well. You know, we were getting guys on situations, we just weren't getting them done. We put ourselves into situations to score by making outs, and we couldn't do it. And that is what is the most frustrating.
Can we talk about that situation just for a second? Just to see what our take is on, was this Nate Eaton's fault wholeheartedly? Like, was he full to blame on this? Or can we also have the conversation that Kyle Hudson
was absolutely fault.
Was out to lunch yet again.
He wasn't bringing him around. He was pointing at the base. He was slowing him down. Yep. Hudson has to understand that whole thing. Like, as that coach, and heck, I'm sure they understand. They talk about all this research that they do, and I'm sorry I'm hogging this one. I know Jazz Chisholm is a glory hound. He is he's a wonderful ball player, but you know, he pimps his home runs. He's looking for all this stuff. He's looking to be a superstar.
Look at me.
He turned his back on reporters last night because he didn't play.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so he's going to try to be a superstar. He's going to try to be a hero. You know, the minute he made a fantastic defensive play, and it saved the game for the Yankees, but it should not have. You have to understand that situation. You've got to bring him around. They've been aggressive all playoff long, all leading on. And we're going to call the playoffs that 2 weeks that they had to get into the series where they're sending guys with no outs. You have to go there, and you have to understand that Chisholm is going to come up and try to make the play at first base. And they didn't. And yes, that's on Hudson. But still, it wouldn't have been a situation because the runner should have known. If he's busting it all the way, then Hudson's play is simple. If he's already at third base by the time he's getting that ball, just go and force this guy to make a great play. Just go. But he didn't put Hudson in the proper position, and Hudson didn't help himself at either by being tentative.
I think I was most stunned that it was Nate Eaton with all the wheels in the world.
Yes.
Well, that's the biggest.
out of everybody.
Yep.
If this was like like I don't know who's the slowest
Bregman.
guy.
If
This
it were
this was
Bregman,
Nate
absolutely.
Lowe, Bregman or Nate Lowe or something like that, I'd understand a little bit and say, okay, they're trying to hold him because they felt like he was going to get out at home. Nate Eaton wouldn't have been out. No way. If he was running full tail from second base on, guaranteed run, no doubt.
He would have been safe if they had caught the ball at first base. Let alone the fact that, and that's the other aspect. The first baseman isn't a first baseman. What's he doing in that? He's trying to scoop it. The runner's already safe, but he's trying to buy the scoop instead of just block the ball. You know, the Yankees did everything they could to give you that run, and we're just sitting there. Da-da.
How many outs are there?
Yeah, you know, I mean, as far as the dugout dipshit's concerned, you took all three of the outfield, so I can't choose them. My guy was going to be Kyle Hudson because you, again, Kyle Hudson, blew a game for the Red Sox. And just like you guys have been talking all night about the fact of the Nate Eaton situation, and to both of your credits, you know, if that was a ground ball to second base and Chisholm didn't even have to dive for it, you know, the fact that he dove for it, there's so many different aspects of how Nate Eaton would have been safe. The ground ball alone, the throw to first base, the botch catch at first base. Those are three instances right there. If he wound up throwing it to first and then you tried to throw home, Eaton still would have been safe. So there's probably almost 4 instances that he would have been safe there. And to Nick's point too, again, if it's Nate Lowe or somebody slow, yeah, there might be a chance. I still think even one of those guys would have been safe in that instance. But here's the other part. Don't you actually, I don't care if it was Bregman, don't you go and force it? I mean, that's my question. That's the question I have right now. Under the circumstance, you're not scoring runs. You're matching the Yankees run for run. Every time you give them, you were capable enough to tie that game back up. You had a couple opportunities with runners in scoring position and even just on base that you could not turn into runs. Don't you have to, in that situation, push the envelope, even if you're thrown out at the plate? You're asking him with a Yoshida hit. You see the grounder. You know it's not going to be a clean play. You have to force the issue. I don't care if he's out by 3 feet. You got to force it. Chisholm could have thrown it to the backstop. He's not a good defender. He is not a good defender. I don't understand. I'm telling you right now, if Kyle Hudson is the third base coach on this team next season, that is an egregious situation. My other
Get ready because it's going to be a Pete Fatsy. Here it comes.
My other dipshit for the night is Craig Breslow, because he's the son of a bitch that put this team together. And I don't know who on their bingo card on opening day would have said this Red Sox team is going to face the Yankees in the first series of the playoffs. And oh, by the way, Ref Schneider's going to lead off. Nate Eaton's going to be in right. And Nick Sogard's going to be at second base. Vegas should have taken odds on that. It's absolutely pitiful that was your lineup and that is your roster construction, Craig Breslow. And here's where I twist. Hold on a minute. Here's where I twist the knife. You should have won the game. You should have beat the Yankees with that lineup, with that roster construction. You should have won the game, and you didn't. The only saving grace that this team has, and Thayer already brought it up, you're going to have a right-hander tomorrow on the mound. You'll get your left-handed lineup in there. Yoshida will get 3 or 4 at-bats. You know, Nate Lowe will get a start. So we'll see a little bit of a different situation. Abreu will be out there. I don't know if I even care at this point. I'd probably rather have Eaton at this point, I guess. I don't know. But that's in and of itself. Dugout Dipshits was sponsored by the 2025 Red Sox postseason apparel. It's on clearance right now, so you can remember this series the same way the players will, with regret and mothballs. Moving right along, we do have just one chat here from Streamer Central. I love that SETI bunt was so smart. It's not like he hits clutch shots or anything. Yeah, he does, but when you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do and the game called for a bunt and the entire world knew that he was bunting, it's almost like Dave Roberts. He's running. The entire world knew he had a bunt right there, and you pop it up. It's just, where are those fundamentals there? That's the biggest issue. Moving right along, we're going to go into just some final takes. Thayer, I'll start with you. What are your projections for tomorrow? I guess that's really where we're at.
Projections tomorrow. Like I said, I think it's like 50-50, but I'll say 55-45 Red Sox simply because of Alex Cora. And my final thoughts on this are Alex Cora has outmanaged Aaron Boone in both of these games. Boone has a win, but it's not because of Boone, and it's not because of anything Cora pulling Bayo, brilliant, absolute move. I texted Jim. I'm like, this is going to become a slaughterhouse if he leaves this guy in, and he didn't let it happen. He pulled him. I think, Nick, I know we talked about Bayo not having it. If we had left Bayo in, this game isn't even close. This is probably a blowout, and maybe it's better that they don't waste the bullpen, but I think you have to give it a shot. He did everything he could. And the fact that tomorrow is the lefty, and like we talked about, there's something about early. I'd like to think that given that military history and his ability to handle pressure, I think maybe he has an advantage in the rotation over the Yankee starter. And especially since he's a righty, we're not going to have to see Refsnyder and Gonzalez.
Nick, your final takes and projections for tomorrow.
I just want to go over the start time for tomorrow might be a little different compared to tonight. So what happens is if the Reds beat the Dodgers to extend their series, we're going to have I believe it's 6:08 start. If the Dodgers do end up sweeping tonight, we go into the 8:00 game. So that's going to make our pod when we finish late into the 11:30 at night option. We hope that that's the case because that means it's a clinching series, and we obviously make those exceptions happen when we win, of course. If we lose, I don't know about that, guys. But for me, I think that it's important for early to get off to a great start in the first inning.
Early?
I think I don't like to be a punny with this, but he needs to show in that first inning that the poise, the tempo, the control is there. I think we're going to be able to tell very early on, I did it again, how he's going to be. Out of all the pitchers that we've seen come up recently, he does seem the most special because I do think that he doesn't shy away from the big moment. He's already spoken about can't believe that this is a dream come true to be able to pitch against the Yankees in a must-win game in the playoffs. He wants this. He's embracing it. So let's see how this goes for him. He's got everything lined up exactly how it should be. It's a lefty going against the Yankees lineup, which is a great advantage, which means that they're going to go back to probably their game one lineup, I would assume. And if Aaron Boone doesn't play Ben Rice, that'll be shocking. That will be shocking. But I do want to say, though, I was getting a little annoyed with how much they were hyping him up that much. I get it in a way, but in another way, let's let the kid breathe here a little bit. I felt like the ESPN broadcast was a little too happy with him, and I'll keep it PG.
So, Nick, who wins tomorrow?
the Red Sox. And I say that because I think you're going to see a hell of a start from Conley early. I really do. I think that this kid is ready for it. And I think that that's why he's your game 3 starter. Why it's not Tolley, why it's not Harrison, why it's not Dustin, forget about me, May. That's why it's Conley early. That's why this kid is in my eyes, I think he's going to be the real deal.
I like him too. Obviously, it's a big start for him. He's never faced the Yankees before. There's been a lot to like. Like I said on a previous episode, the only thing that really kind of got a bugaboo in his head was when he allowed, and I forgot who the guy is, that Simpson that leads off for.
Yeah.
Okay. When Simpson got on for Tampa Bay, there was just a lot of him concentrating too much on that. So I think the key to early is going to be trying to avoid guys on base, especially guys that can run. So your Chisholms, your Volpes, guys like that. If he can neutralize that, I think he'll be effective. I also question how long he's going to be in that game because, I mean, the advantage here, and I am going to pick the Red Sox as well, just because I hate the Yankees. But they're not that good of a team, the Yankees. Again, I brought it up earlier before when I said that Breslow was my dipshit for creating this roster. You still should have won today. Hill kind of gets he kind of gets me a little concerned, but at the same time, I think we got the better lineup going. But Alex Cora could definitely be the X factor in tomorrow. I think you're going to see a very shrewd Alex Cora. Not that he wasn't shrewd in game 1, 2, and the first game of that Detroit series, but I think it'll even be more shrewd. And if he feels that Connolly Early's only going as an opener for an inning and a third, then so be it. So don't be surprised on really anything tomorrow. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. But the key to it's going to be they got to do what they did in game 1 and game 2. They've got to keep it close, and they can't let an inning get away from them. You look at the Chapman inning in the 9th in game 1, getting 3 guys on with no outs and trying to come out of that. Chances are you're not going to be able to hit that lightning in a bottle yet again. So that's what they need to do. Like today, you gave up 2, you scored 2, you gave up another, you scored another. That's the worst that can happen because it's probably going to wind up being a bullpen game. I mean, if Early goes 6 innings and has a shutout, great. I'm not expecting it. But I think Alex Cora somehow, some way, would be the reason why they take game 3. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
And Jim, it's not Heel. It's Schlittler.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not Heel. It's Schlittler. And he's only making, like, we're talking about Early making his 4th major league start. This kid's making his 11th.
They're not going Heel, huh?
No. So this kid, and he's got an ERA under 3. Mm-hmm. He's pitched pretty well. But going back, he's pitched against Baltimore twice, who's been nothing. He pitched against Minnesota, whose offense isn't that great, and they got him for 4 runs in under 5 innings. He pitched against Detroit, who can't hit. He pitched well against them. Toronto lit him up for 4 runs in 2 innings. And then he pitched against the White Sox, the Nationals, the Rays, the Twins again. Nothing fantastic. He pitched against Houston and, gave up 2 runs in 5 innings on 7 hits, and then pitched against Miami. He didn't face – really the only offenses he faced that were any good were Houston because it was early on in August, and they still had Alvarez rolling. And then they faced Toronto, and both of those offenses pounded him. So not that we have an offense that's going to pound anybody, but it's someone that is pretty hittable. He had lots of early. He's a strikeout guy, so that's going to be the key. We have to avoid that. But he's also a guy that's been wild, multiple walks a game.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't realize that. I just assumed Hill. But look, I mean that's maybe even better news, So hopefully the Red Sox can capitalize. The other thing of it is too is that I think Alex Cora's got to play a little bit more for the small ball. So I mean, if we've got these situations of first and second no outs, he's got to start moving runners over. You got to try to manufacture runs and stop trying to get a 3-run jack.
He tried today and he couldn't do it. So
No, I know.
was wondering-
I know. But you know what? Any opportunity is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Jarren Duran come up with 2 runners on and no outs
Right,
and
and not
strike out or pop up to short. I don't want to
Yep.
see that. It's got to stop. Because
completely
we can't have that anymore.
Pop up. Did you say pop up? You're really nice or something. You mean strike out?
Yeah, strike out the eyes. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. I want to thank Thayer and Nick for being on. We will, if you're not a subscriber to our website yet, go to RedSoxDigest.com and subscribe for our newsletter. It comes out just about every day, especially during the season. That being said, we're going to call it for tonight. We will be on tomorrow. Win, place, or show. Hopefully it'll be a win, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Obviously, keep in mind that potential for a change in the game start time. Have a good night, everybody, and take care.